This video is just going to explain one way that I feel coverages could be tracked to help make sure that we are spreading the responsibility throughout the building. A couple things to note about this sheet. One, I believe that it's accurate, but if we were to use this, I think it would be best if somebody double checked it. Two, the names that are bold can be used every day without someone losing their planning period. Now you will notice, like myself, I am bold 1 and 7. One of those is my planning period. So if you use me one, maybe try to avoid the other on the same day. The same with DeFelice 2 and 7. The same, you see Mariah in here multiple times, but if possible, she should have one of those periods free. We shouldn't use her to cover all of them every day. And with Matt and Ann and Jamie, they have the Monday, Tuesday, the tech schedule. So sometimes they can be used and still have a planning period. So let's take a look through an example. And what we're going to do as we use the person, we're going to fill that cell in. So the first thing I'm going to do, I see, so this is my example document here. I'm going to do a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of coverages. And I went ahead and I pulled these just from emails from Mrs. Amsley, and I've left whoever are building subs, I left those in for the day, as well as then the periods that need covered. So the first thing I'm going to do, I see that Micah Stevens is in for Patty. So I'm going to go ahead and I see that Patty doesn't have a homeroom, and I see that Flurry needs a homeroom coverage. So I am going to have him cover that. And I see the only other teacher that we have uncovered for the day, besides these two homerooms, is Vera. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a look to see where Patty has planning. And I see she has planning 5th period. So I'm going to fill that in. Personally, in my eyes, I don't feel that the building sub or a day-to-day sub necessarily needs activity period or their planning period, that they should be utilized to the full extent. They don't have the responsibilities that your full-time teacher has. So I'm going to go ahead and do Vera's coverages. So Angie Johnson is coverage for semester 1, period 1. So I'm going to highlight her and I'm going to fill that in. Period 2, DeFelice. Period 4B, Mariah. Period 6. Now we could give it to Mariah again, and then she would still have 7 as her planning. So in this example, that is what I'm going to do. And then period 7 will be Martin. And just to double check that I did get those all highlighted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I miss somebody? Or I just can't count. Johnson, DeFelice, Steinberg. Oh, because Stevens. There we go. All right, and then I see that I need 2 for homeroom coverages. So Beeler would cover for Reedsucker, and Brooks would cover, and I will highlight them yellow so I know that I used them. And on to Tuesday. So I see that I have some subs in. I see that Jamie Smith needs covered. So the first thing I'm going to do, I see that Micah is covering for Mr. Kaufman. So when is Mr. Kaufman available? And I could always do a control, whoops, I need to be in this document. I could always do a control Control F and search for Kaufman if I needed to. So I can see that homeroom and third period work well. So I'm going to go ahead and I can see that Jamie needs coverage for homeroom. And it's a Tuesday, so she doesn't need coverage third period. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to highlight Paul yellow because, oh, no, I don't, because he's not covering it. Mike is covering it. That's my fault. All right. And he's not, Kaufman's not covering, that Stevenson is. Oh, man. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my coverages for Jamie Smith. So first period, Erin Martin is available. It's her coverage period, so we'll use that first. Period 2, DeFelice. Period 3, none needed because she's available on Tuesdays to cover. All right, so moving to 4B. Again, it's going to be Mariah because we're just going to copy and paste from over here. And I forgot to highlight me here. Because Mariah has those extra periods. So period 5, looking across our list, it's going to be Brooks. And period 6, if we use Mariah period 6, although we used her for B, she still has her planning. So we will use her there. So now we are going to go on to Wednesday. So we can see that we have some subs in the building and we can see that we need some coverages. So again, we'll start with Stevens and we will see that all right, so now we are going to do our coverages for Wednesday. I can see that I have some subs in the building. So I'm going to start with Micah and I'm going to see what Autumn has free. So second period, and I can see that Ashley Mason needs covered. So that's going to be Stevenson. And I can see that Stacy Dicerow. So sixth period, so that would work for Mr. Brooks. And Gloria Herney for Rob Harvey. What does Rob have? Let's see. Control F because, whoops, I want to find them in this document. Oh, there he is. Period 5. So does anybody need coverage period 5? All right, nobody needs coverage period 5. Let's see, Vera. Now, I don't have her in this document because we can't use her on our normal coverage sheet, but it appears I have her on the master down here. So period 3. So I'm going to put Ashton Heckman in for period 3. And I see that Eugene Roach is in for Kathy Welt, but we will look at that as a different situation and not put her in for coverage at this point in time. So now I need to go through and I need to cover Bill for 4A. So unfortunately, that is going to be Mariah again, just because of the way her schedule falls. And we'll go to period 7. I've only used Mariah once today. And I didn't use DeFelice, so we'll go ahead and use DeFelice for this 7th period. And then period 1, it's a Wednesday. So we will, whoops, and I need to highlight DeFelice here because I'm using her. It's a Wednesday, so we can use Fitz. So Fitz we'll cover here. And I can see that I need a homeroom coverage for Mason. And nobody, Vera doesn't have a homeroom, so I'm going to have Heckman cover that homeroom. So I have managed to get all this covered with only having to use a few teachers by pulling my subs first. So that was lucky. So I don't know if this example helps of how we can kind of highlight as we use them. As we go down through and take a look at this spreadsheet, the people that are covering 7th period should not have to cover very often, because there are 3 of us that can get used over and over again. Now, I do realize that DeFelice is usually getting used period 2, and that Mariah's used a lot of other periods. So I'm throwing myself under the bus here, but Erin Martin should be covering a lot of 7th periods because she does have first as a coverage period, so we can flip-flop the coverage and planning. Or that, how we can work that out. And a lot of these periods, there are lots of people that can cover, so we shouldn't have that repetition. We should be able to spread it out. So when you would get to the end of the row, so I'll use 5th period as an example, since there are no people that period that have an extra coverage period. So when these all get filled, when these all get filled because those people have each taken their turn covering and it all turns yellow, you're simply going to come back and you're going to reset it and you're going to start again. Where these bold names have maybe all gotten yellow, then you'll come back and you'll reset those and start with those bolds again. So we're still even trying to rotate through the bolds, just unfortunately there are some periods where there are not as many bolds. So that's my food for thought. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. By no means is this solution still perfect, but just something to throw out there that might be helpful because the document could be shared amongst all the secretaries that are helping with the coverage. So thank you.